Hi, welcome to the Harmony Inspired Health Podcast. I'm Dr. Harmony, an Ayurvedic and women's health practitioner, doctor of Chinese medicine acupuncture, registered nurse, and the founder of the Ayurveda Alchemist Academy. This podcast is where Ayurveda meets modern science, where ancient wisdom empowers women's health, holistic healing, and soul-led success. Because true wellness is about more than just green smoothies and yoga poses. We're diving into Ayurveda, women's hormones, and holistic business growth. Plus, I bring on leading experts from all corners of the wellness world to keep you inspired, educated, and evolving into your higher self. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. It's like giving us a virtual high five of podcast love, and I truly appreciate you. All right, let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to the Harmony Inspired Health Podcast. Today, you are going to finally end that body burnout that you may have been experiencing throughout last year, 2025, and you will be starting 2026 with a brilliant mind, beautiful, healthy body, and all the skills to keep that going. So, to help us out with the end of body burnout, I have a very special guest, Philippa Barlet, and she is the co-founder of a multi-award-winning health practice, Chris and Philly Functional Medicine, and the author of Ending Body Burnout. She is an accredited clinical nutritionist, functional medicine practitioner, coach, and trauma therapist. She is also a PhD scholar and regularly featured in media such as The Today Show, Nine, Forbes, and Body and Soul. Together with her husband, Chris, they have worked with over 1,500 burned out clients. Their practice is best known for ending body burnout for good in busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues. And they always apply the root cause approach. Welcome to the podcast, Philippa.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, me too. I think this topic can never get old because we always put in these wonderful, like maybe people have put in these New Year's resolutions. This is going to be, I mean, we're still recording, it's the end of 2025 recording, but once this is released, it is going to be the new year because it's only a few weeks away till the new year is upon us.
Yes.
And a lot of my listeners and probably myself have thought, what are my goals for 2026? I'm going to give myself more space, more time. I'm going to do these health rituals and so on. And I'm not going to get burnout. But then, as we know, life rolls on and we find that we fall into these same traps that we have years ago and last year and maybe even this year. And we want to finally end that for good. So I'm really excited to speak on this and learn from you as well. Before we get started, what is body burnout and how are you using that term exactly? Just so we can really nail down on what we're talking about when we say end body burnout for good.
Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, we've all heard the term burnout. I think it came out of workplace kind of business realms where you're working too hard, you're not having enough breaks, have some time off. And it's a real issue, but body burnout is, from a clientele point of view, is when they have burnt themselves out so much or for so long. So a lot of chronic stress. There hasn't been that nice balance in rest and recovery in terms of energy output. And now their body systems are burning out or burnt out as well. So this is where there's more chronic health issues that start showing up, especially in the energy, mood, gut realm. And you'll know when you're in body burnout because you might feel burnt out. And if you go on a holiday and you come back feeling no better, you've got body burnout. Or if you've got the weekend and you're resting and recharging and you're getting 10 hours sleep, but you still have these symptoms that are trying to get your attention, you've got body burnout.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's not just fatigue, it's like actual system dysfunction.
Yeah.
Dysregulation, I should say.
Yeah.
So can you please share your own body burnout story and how you overcame it using physical and metaphysical healing?
Yes. So it's always interesting when people ask me to share my story, because if I go right back in time, it would have started as a kid. But I think I'll circle back to childhood a little bit later. So the more noticeable signs that I was going into body burnout would have been as a teenager. So I started developing vasovagal episodes, which is basically my nervous system got really stressed out and I would faint and fit and pee myself, which was really embarrassing as a teen and in early 20s. But I also had hormonal issues, so PCOS, really prolonged periods. When we started trying to have a baby in my 20s, also had infertility. And I wasn't ever diagnosed with anxiety, but looking back, I can definitely see that there were some pretty intense anxious patterns. I was just very high functioning. So it wasn't ever picked up. And I personally didn't really even know what anxiety was when I was experiencing it at a younger age. So all of this was happening underneath the surface. And then I had a baby. Previous to that, though, I was running a lot of busy patterns. So I started like developing perfectionism and overdoing. And I always needed to get A pluses and I needed to get the perfect ATAR score. And then I went on and did a PhD. Really? I know there were lots of different reasons why I did it, but it was definitely the high achieving pattern. My lecturers were kind of like, you should do it. You're amazing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So I finished my PhD and I actually got my report back on the same day that I had my first baby, which was interesting from a universal metaphoric point of view. But the birth was quite traumatic. So it was a 3-day birth, a very prolonged labor. I had a lot of damage done to my bladder. So I literally stopped being able to pee and I had to wear an internal catheter for about 3 months and was getting a lot of UTIs and in and out of hospital with severe constipation and just lots of antibiotics. And I feel like that wasn't the thing that caused the burnout, but it was the tipping point of a pretty major, both physical and also mental, emotional, traumatic experience. And then from there, every month after my baby was born, I just started getting worse and worse. So I started accumulating a lot of other weird health issues, heartburn, histamine intolerance, depression, anxiety, like it was panic attacky at this point. Body pain. Some days I couldn't get out of bed and lift my child up because my body had so much chronic inflammation. And yeah, by the time my daughter turned 1, I felt like I was an 80-year-old, like literally, and it just felt wafer thin. And that's when I came across nutrition. So my sister gave me a book called Deep Nutrition, which is kind of funny because she's totally not into nutrition. She's just got a bit of an ADHD brain where she's like, this is amazing. Everyone needs to know this. And anyway, it changed my life because I was like, what? You can heal your body using food?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in for this.
I would have thought nature's
Yeah. And it was based on Western A Price. So it was very much like traditional, get back to the roots of eating clean food, healthy whole food, organ meats, ferment everything. If you're going to have dairy, get it raw. So I found a dairy farmer that I illegally purchased raw. He's not in existence anymore. He's retired, so I can share this publicly. But I went to town and definitely using food as medicine started healing my body to the point that when my daughter turned 2, I felt good enough to have another baby. Got pregnant pretty quick. And this time I felt like things were going to be good because I changed a lot of my lifestyle. So I'd also ditched toxins. I'd pared back on exercise. I was way over exercising for where my body burnout and adrenal fatigue was at. And yeah, my sleep was dialed in. So baby number 2 came, felt great until 2 weeks in, and then all my symptoms started ramping back. In hindsight, I can see it's because my busy patterns didn't stop. It's kind of like, had a baby, feel good this time, keep working, yay! Keep doing all the things. And that's when I then discovered functional medicine because I was like, I clearly haven't got to the root cause yet. So I've got to go deeper than just using medicine and lifestyle. Came across functional medicine and it was really great. I'm a practitioner in it, so obviously I love it. It's still not the root, but I'll get to that. But basically for listeners, your listeners probably are aware of functional medicine. I'm pretty sure you've talked about body systems and lab testing, give a little...
I'd love to hear it from you because I also do functional medicine.
Yeah.
I read it obviously with Ayurveda.
Yeah.
So I've spoke on it, but I would love to hear how you use functional medicine and your terminology around that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I started studying with an American doctor, Dr. Daniel Kalish. And it was a real big game changer for me back then because there were just a lot of health issues that kept popping up. I almost felt like I had to wrap myself up on bubble wrap and be like live perfectly and perfectly healthy. And so I just felt that like cellularly, there was still something that wasn't fully healed yet in my body. So functional medicine, basically we're looking at different body systems that go beyond what GPs, medical specialists test for. And we're looking into things like the neuroendocrine system, so neurotransmitter health, adrenal fatigue, mitochondria, sex hormones, gut health, detox pathways. I literally had issues in every single body system that I just mentioned, plus more. My body systems were very burnt out.
Your story sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know. When you were sharing yours a few weeks ago when we were chatting, I'm like, yeah. And it was really surprising because I'm like, what? I've been living like a good 4 years now, tox-free, eating healthy, like supporting my movement habits and making sure I sleep. And so that was quite eye-opening that, yeah, like sometimes living healthy isn't enough to fully restore the body system. So I started doing some more therapeutic protocols. About a year later, I felt really good. Again, if I was being honest with myself in that time, I still felt like I had to wrap myself in bubble wrap. And I started developing orthorexia type patterns around food and toxins and that sort of stuff. So my perfectionism patterns followed through into my healing journey where I had to do everything perfectly. I wasn't ever going to eat sugar for a whole 6 months until this candida is clear.
So want to do an episode on that. That is
Yeah.
huge in the wellness industry. But anyway.
Yeah, it's so huge. And I was shaming people as well, like definitely my family and my friends, not kind of like it was probably it was coming from a place of fear. It's like, you can't wear perfume. And did you know that deodorant's going to kill you? And I feel like it was subtly showing up in the way I was helping my clients too back then, where it's just like, you have to do this protocol perfectly, otherwise you won't get the result. And they're like, ah! So traveling along for a bit, and then COVID 2020 happened. I think everyone has their own COVID story. But that, again, all my symptoms came raging back, and this time insomnia. And I'd never had sleep issues in the past before. And it was just horrible because I'm like, I need sleep. So my body was screaming at me, and I was just so confused. I'm like, okay, like I've got all the tools. Let's do the lab test. Let's do the supplements. Let's tidy up my diet even more. Let's stop doing so much. Yet nothing budged the symptoms until I started looking deeper into the metaphysical parts of me. So my unconscious mind, my nervous system, neural pathways, and the deepest root that really was like flaring up all my health stuff as well as life turmoil was a deep unconscious core belief that I was weak and incapable, which occurred when I was way back when I was 6 or 7 and had just been creating all those busy, overdoing, perfectionism, never enough patterns. That even though with best intent I was trying to heal myself, it was coming from this place of like, you're weak, you have to try harder, you have to go 110%, otherwise you won't get results. And it was showing up in my business, my finances, my marriage, and my parenting everywhere.
It's huge, our belief patterns. In Ayurveda, we call them samskaras, which are sort of these limiting beliefs that sort of reside in our chitta, our subconscious mind, and how they can really drive even our healing journey. And we're constantly sort of fighting against these. We're trying to go with healing and sattva, which is that lightness and purity and this sort of way of being. But at the same time, if these subconscious patterns aren't healed, they're constantly up against us. And for you, it was so amazing that you realized that, because how long, it sounded like this healing journey was quite some time.
It was 10 years all up. Like really from the point of like my daughter's birth to, well, I mean, it was probably 25 years if I'm being honest. But like, yeah, from the point of like my body really crumbling to doing that deeper level of healing and getting dramatic results, like literally things like histamine intolerance just switched off in the moment. I had just the most amazing, I call them spiritual healings.
Yeah. So how did you come to that epiphany of like, this is the thought pattern that I've been carrying, and it is hindering my healing? Like, how did you come to that? And how did you move through that so that you could heal at the capacity that you now are? Like you're now glowing, you're now wonderful. I don't know, like I can't say you're wonderfully healed because I don't know. You appear to be wonderfully healed.
My body still speaks to me, but I know how to communicate back and how
Sure.
to give it what it needs. Okay, that's a great question. I feel like the tipping point was, so my husband, he also works in our health practice. He went through his own body burnout, different story. Same, different story. But when he went on his healing journey, he actually went more on the metaphysical side first. He did like an adrenal test. He was really hopeless at taking supplements, but he went all in on like mindset and looking at patterns and healing past wounds. And during that time, it was over a 3-year, he was in a business retreat program, but they were doing retreats and it was very businessy, but there was a lot of like inner healing. So he'd come back from these retreats completely changed and like bigger than the sun, but then also like wanting me to change straight away as well. And so that was happening over a 3-year period. And I was getting really triggered because I'm like, there's nothing wrong with my mindset. Give me a protocol and I won't eat sugar for 6 months. I thought the people that needed, like help with that were the people that couldn't do the things.
Yes. And I think when I was on your podcast, we worked out that you were a pizza
A
connoisseur.
picture. Yeah. Fire means fire. And so I think it was COVID, like the biggest thing that was just like, oh, there is something deep inside me that I need to heal, was COVID happened. So back then I had my health practice, Chris had a gym and his gym got shut down. Also like the clients just freaked out and everyone's canceling and the kids we're homeschooling, we're needing to pivot our business. And I had so much financial fear. Like there was real financial stress,
Yeah.
but I was not sleeping. I think that was the biggest thing with the insomnia, was just I was staying awake all night trying to think like, how are we going to survive? And then I'd wake up and like expect that Chris had the same experience that I was having, and he was having a completely different experience. Like he was like, COVID was the best. I loved lockdown. It was like, what a gift. This was awesome. I get to be home with my family. It's like, don't worry about the money. We'll work it out. That's fine. We're resourceful. But inside it felt like there was this internal tiger just constantly chasing me. And then the next step was, I was in a different business program to Chris, but he ended up being my coach, but he was all around like helping people resolve insecurity. And I naively pitched myself to go on his podcast. I'm like, I've done a lot of work. And I pitched it in terms of like, I used to emotionally eat and I was addicted to sugar and now I'm so healthy and like now I don't have those problems. But before he pressed play, I said, I got really nervous and I didn't really know why, but I'm like, I don't think I should be here. I don't think I've still got some insecurities, but I don't know what they are. And so I said to him, if you want to coach me and interview me at the same time, feel free. And so he put on his coaching hat. I know, silly. But actually, I think it was the best part of me that wanted the best for me. It's like, you need to go deeper. So just say this thing, even though you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And he was very kind and respectful, but there were a few things that he picked up on my language patterns. And it just made me think. And then afterwards for 2 weeks, I was just crying. And I really didn't know why. But I just knew, like, in my heart and deep in my intuition, that this was the next step I needed to go with my healing. So that's how I got there. Not through my logical brain, which I think is like a very, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that you were talking about the pitta energy, it's kind of like quite like up in your head and like everything makes sense and you got to like problem solve and do the things.
Totally. Yeah.
So what would that be in because there were two other
Vata and Kapha, the constitutions. Yeah. So the pitta is very logical, likes a plan, always has to think about everything to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And draws right. Whereas a Vata is sort of more up in their head, a lot more. They've got ether and air energy, so they can have, probably like you describe your sister's brain.
Yeah.
And then Kapha is a little bit more slow and discerning. But then we also bring in with that the 7 layers of consciousness from an Ayurvedic perspective. So a lot of the time we're acting from a hamkara, ego, and that's just a normal part of our brain that we do need to survive in this world, but we've been very conditioned to just use that part. Whereas it's
Mm.
that you started to tune into your buddhi mind, which is your high intellect, telling
Mm.
there's these samskaras stored in this chitta mind, like telling you, they're not maybe giving you the logic language for it, but
Yeah.
telling you to seek deeper.
Yeah. 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 It definitely felt like there was a spiritual or energetic or a deep, like a part of me inside my unconscious mind that is like, go
Yeah.
there.
Good stuff.
Go there. And then the journey was like to get to that root belief. And I mean, this is the process that we take other people through too. It's like, well, let's start off with your pattern. So every behavior, including the way that your body behaves, has a belief underneath. So let's like get clear on all the patterns without judgment. That's probably the hardest part for people when they're entering into that, is like, let's just look at it with curiosity, maybe even a bit of play. So I got clear on all my dysfunctions and realized that they were actually dysfunctional. Whereas before I thought that they were resourceful. I thought that it's like, no, this is like what a human being should be like. And then, I just started digging into, well, what must I believe about myself in order to continue running these patterns? And then going back into my timeline to the earliest memory when I accused myself of being weak and incapable. And it was little, like for me, I didn't grow up with big T trauma. In fact, and that's probably also why I didn't feel like I needed to do this deeper work. But the earliest memory was standing up on a stage, and I'd memorized a little, I don't know, it was 30 seconds or a 1 minute talk. And I was so proud of myself. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to get to go. Mum and dad are going to be proud of me. And got up on the stage and completely forgot the words. I was completely embarrassed. I started crying, but it was also really shocking to my little system, because previous to that, I thought I was enough. It's like, yeah, I've got all the resources inside of me to do the things that I want to. Maybe there's actually something wrong with me. And then I sat on that stage as all the other kids got up and did their talks perfectly. And I'm like, why can they do it? What's wrong with me? And then it just developed all these patterns. And a lot of it was around public speaking or sharing my voice.
Oh my gosh, it's so devastating to hear back as like the little girl.
Yeah.
But now look at you, you've got podcasts, you've written books, you speak like in media. You've obviously well and truly overcome that belief to some degree to be able to put yourself out there. And I guess another question I want to ask, which we sort of touched on, but I feel like your answer might be a little bit different now than what it was when you first studied functional medicine. A lot of functional medicine practitioners talk about healing the body with a root cause approach. So what do you mean now when you say root cause approach? Because I use that terminology too. And I know what I mean, because I mean from an individual constitution, from the very core of who the person is, and every single protocol might look different depending on that person, and it does encompass the health and the mind and all of this, but it's really hard to sort of spit all of that out when you're saying, and everyone has a different meaning to root cause, quote unquote. So what is your perception of root cause approach?
Yeah. So I might just circle back and just speak into functional medicine being a root cause approach, which it is to an extent. So if someone has fatigue, for example, it's like you might go to a doctor and they're like, here's an antidepressant. Oh, I don't know. Is your iron low? Is your vitamin? Oh, no, your iron is low. Okay, whatever. Hold on. So then functional medicine, it's peeling back the onion layers. So it's looking at your body systems. And when I discovered that, I thought that that was the root cause. I'm like, oh, I've got adrenal fatigue. I've got leaky gut. I've got parasites. I've got candida. But then you always need to ask the question, why? So why did the body systems burn out in the first place? And I feel like functional medicine does ask why, but it kind of just stops at lifestyle. It's sort of like, well, the root cause is because you eat McDonald's. The root cause is because you have unhealthy sleep hygiene. The root cause is because you're stressed, but there's not a lot of practical solutions to actually resolving the stress besides just do less. Unless you have a beautiful practitioner like yourself and myself, where it's kind of like we're looking at like, well, what's actually happening at a deeper level that is causing you to feel stressed out in the first place. So we actually use the term root cause. So when I think about root causes, it's like the surface level root causes is lifestyle. It's the things that we can see in our environment. And then deeper root causes are metaphysical. So yeah, like similar to what you said, I use different language. It's like your neural pathways, it's your nervous system, it's the baggage in your unconscious mind, repressed emotion, traumatic experiences, definitely unconscious core beliefs. And we also go even deeper to that to say the root is the deepest fear you have about yourself, which is causing the burnout patterns and causing the body systems to burn out and preventing you from healing.
So how is your approach to healing the body different to other functional medicine practitioners and naturopaths and nutritionists? So what I'm hearing from just asking that first question about root cause is like you go into the metaphysical, you go into the mind and everything. But how does this sort of holistically come together to heal someone, say if they are coming in with adrenal fatigue or leaky gut?
Yeah. So we start with most clients, we start off with lab testing. I find it's like a nice, easy entry into deeper healing. A lot of people love lab testing as well. It's like, I want to test my things. But also, too, I find that for some people who are in like deeper depths of body burnout, it's hard to do the deeper work. And so when we can start sparking up the body system, so for example, if someone has really low dopamine or they're in adrenal fatigue, we can start off with some targeted like amino acids or nutrients or herbs that just help to support the body to give them, so they're starting to feel better. I always say to them, if you stop there, you're not going to have, you're not going to have long-term health. It's unlikely that this is going to last long-term. Your body will speak to you in different ways. You can't outsop the root cause. But that's nice because then they're getting some of that physical support to then be able to have a bit more energy, a bit more calm, a bit more motivation, even just a bit more hope, especially if their body's responding to therapeutic protocols. And then we go in.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and essentially we're just taking them through the path of like, what are your patterns? What's the deepest belief, deepest fear you have about yourself? Find that. What do you want? And then rewire, reprogram, create the life that you want and the health that you want.
And so I would love to hear from you. I mean, you and your husband combined have worked with over 2,500 clients. So I'm sure you see a lot of trending patterns within the mind and the body. What have you seen the impact of stress doing to the different body systems? And how are you testing for these imbalances?
Yeah. So, stress, when I think about if there's a body system that can start off as the Achilles heel, it's often the adrenals. So, your adrenal glands are like one of their main roles is to secrete your stress hormones, cortisol and DHEA, and also regulate your response to stress. So, for people who have been in burnout patterns for a long time, their adrenals have been working hard for them. And at some point, the body is producing heaps of cortisol. And because it is a very dominant hormone, the brain at some point is like, we can't keep control of cortisol anymore. So DHEA, the balancing stress hormone, starts to deplete. And then cortisol starts to deplete. And then that starts interacting with the nervous system or vice versa. And then we have a body that is stuck in fight, flight, freeze, and it literally starts either depleting other body systems. So your sex hormones can start to deplete, your neurotransmitters start to deplete when there's a lot of chronic stress, but your gut function and your immune system can also get switched off or suppressed. And so that's where people can start then developing a lot of chronic gut issues or immune system issues, whether that's autoimmunity or allergies or just catching all the colds and flus and infections all the time. And once the gut has burnt out, your detox pathways start struggling as well. Because one of the major ways we get rid of toxins, not the only way, but a big way, is back through the bowels and out through your bum. And so if there's a lot of stuff happening in the gut, it just gets compromised. And so then there's a lot of toxins recirculating back to the liver, impacting the lymphatic system. And yeah, and then it becomes this cascade effect. So now you've got body systems that are causing stress inside of you, as well as deeper unconscious patterns, as well as just like dealing with life. And it can become this big, sticky, stuck cycle until it's resolved.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I think the link between the body and the mind, we know that they're intricately connected, and it's very clear to probably all of my listeners, you and I. But what about the body, mind, and environment?
Yeah. I mean, that comes down to, I guess, the way that you develop these beliefs about self, and then it starts impacting the body systems. I'll talk about body and mind first. So I liken the deep beliefs and the subconscious patterns as little tigers chasing you round and round and round. They don't switch off even at night, especially at night is when your unconscious mind is the most active. And so if you think about that being a stressor, and it also, a stress causes inflammation, it's kind of similar to if you're eating McDonald's every day. That will be inflammatory, stressful to the body. So there's a massive connection, but also like at a deeper, more, I don't know, spiritual, energetic sphere is pain is a loving message. So when something isn't right, if something is out of alignment, if something is perceived dangerous either inside of you or outside of you in your environment, the best way that the unconscious mind and the brain and nervous system gets your attention is through pain. And so that's where like that mechanism too can start burning out the body systems or spontaneously switch on symptoms. So sometimes, like for me, I had a histamine intolerance it was chronic, like it was every day. When I did a lot of gut healing, it got better until COVID happened.
Mhm.
But it also, when I resolved the deep fear about self and like really like wholeheartedly believed that I'm strong and capable and so is my body, there was a day that the histamine intolerance like literally switched off spontaneously, like physiologically. That can't heal in the moment. Like, I mean, like anything can, but it's almost like everything just relaxed in my system. It's like, oh, we don't need to produce histamine anymore. We don't
Yeah.
need to get her attention through chronic heartburn and itchiness and feeling dizzy because we feel safe to be in her body. So there's a real, there's a real deep sense of when it's safe to be you in your body in this world, the body doesn't need to speak through pain anymore.
Yeah, so true. Love that. And you wrote a book all about this. I love in your book how you have got, ending burnout. And I really love how you have three different characters or three different clients in the book. And it really explains how things can show up differently in different people, which I really like, but how you use your method to support that. So because I know writing a book is a huge thing.
It's massive.
I just published mine
Yeah.
September 2025, and it was huge. I think, someone who, you've also done PhD, masters, all of that, and then you write a book and it's a whole different kettle of fish. So what was the reason for writing that book? Why did you write that book?
So many people have asked me this question, and I don't think I've ever felt in my body what I'm about to say, but I felt like it was very healing for myself.
Yeah.
So I do follow three women, but it's also my story threaded throughout.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I think the reason why I felt that feeling in the bottom of my gut is I wrote the first draft and I realized that the mind section I wasn't embodying it. That was also probably a reason why I went in to do the deeper metaphysical work. So it was around COVID time when I started writing the book. And like, if anything, like a gift for me was that led me to do the work for myself, embody it, not just say like, oh, my husband's done it and just like follow the things that he's done. I haven't done it because I don't need to do it. So it was, wow. It's like I call it my baby, but I think the book birthed me.
Yeah. I love that.
And then practical rational brain would have said, when other people have asked me that question, it would have been, like putting the method in a book for different reasons. One, and the reason why I put the three women in there was I didn't want it to just be like a boring sciencey or like do this, don't do that book. I wanted there to be heart and soul. And when someone reads the book, I wanted them to be able to resonate with at least one of the characters, if not, like I've had some readers say, I'm all three characters. I can see myself in all three. And then show them that healing is possible. There's steps in order to get the result. And yeah, I think another big reason was the holistic approach. Like I was really trying to break through the old narrative of functional medicine is root cause medicine and it's going to solve everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I agree. I think writing a book is very therapeutic for the author. Well, in my case as
Yeah.
well. And yeah, I love the fact that you did use the three different characters, because I think when we can weave in story, it really speaks to people on a deeper level, as you said, not so sort of logical and scientific. And I know when I was writing my book, I was sort of, because I have these two sides of me. I do have a very, I come from a science background in allopathic medicine. I have a very logical pitta science side. And then I have a very ethereal, like I'm also a yoga teacher, yogi. I feel all of this vata side of me. And I remember my editor once saying, like, you kind of like weave in and out of two styles. You're talking to like goddess and love and light and ethereal. Then you go, and this hormone does this and this and this. I'm like, but that's just me. Like that,
Yeah.
it is me. So I think it also helped me find my voice, but also how to bring these two sides of us together. And a conversation with you, I feel like we have a lot of similarities, and you also have like this deep sort of spiritual side that's sort of coming out of the closet almost. It's coming to the surface, and you've got so much deep innate wisdom that's just ready to be unlocked through sphere. But you also have such a logical, intelligent mind as well.
Step
and it's
by step.
bringing them together. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's a really wonderful way to be and to write, if I must say so myself. Because, it really sort of, I think a lot of women are like that. They want to know the facts, and they also want to tap into this feminine essence of who they are and understand on a deep level that science just cannot explain.
That's so, I love that. As you were talking, I'm kind of like flickering through my mind people that we've worked with that it's like, wow, you've just got like magical results. It'll be because they've broken through I need to know everything. I need to know every step. I need to know like the science behind it all. Like that's been useful. But I feel like if that's all that someone is holding on to heal, they're only getting like the tip of the iceberg healing. So like I think when we think about the deeper root cause and like who we're being and who we are, you can't separate any parts of ourselves. So just like, and this is where functional medicine kind of poo-poos the medical system, where it's like, well, you could go to an endocrinologist, but they only know about the hormones, and then you get sent to a gut person. It's like, so functional medicine brings all the body systems together, which is great. But then like, well, we also need to bring all the other parts of ourselves together, because we can't, like, our emotions are not separate to our adrenals, and our heart isn't separate to our spirit, and everything is connected. And so if we only heal one part of ourselves, we're essentially like repressing the rest.
Absolutely.
And saying, you don't deserve a voice, and I'm not going to listen to you. I'm only going to listen to this part.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about the Eastern medicine as well. Like, even when you said your heart and your spirit are like the same thing, but you didn't say it in those exact words, but from a TCM perspective, like traditional Chinese medicine, the Shen, it comes from your heart. The Shen is your spirit. Even in Ayurveda talks about the heart being, the intellect, the brain sort of thing. It's so true. We can't separate these parts of us. And maybe at the start, it can be helpful to sort of like compartmentalize different aspects of us so we can sort of find what's going on in what part of the body and so on. But when we actually start healing, like healing is magical in itself. We have to take that step back and look at us as these whole beings. We're human beings, we're spiritual beings, and we're so multifaceted, and we have so many layers. I mean, there's not even just a mind. There's layers of the mind. There's not even, there's so many layers of the body, and it all has to be one entity. So yeah, I've really loved this conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I think, we have so much in common. I'll have to get to Tassie one day. And
We'll go hike a mountain together.
I would love that. Where can our listeners listen to more of your good stuff on your podcast, including myself on your podcast,
Yes.
and get your book?
Yeah, awesome. I mean, like probably the easiest place to find all the things is our website. So www.chrisandphilly, ChrisAndFly.fm. And you can grab a copy of my book on the website. Actually, I might give you a link to put in the show notes for a free copy if any of your listeners would like a physical copy of my book. I'd love to gift them that. Yeah, and we've got our podcast as well, so the Ending Body Burnout show where we dive into all of this stuff every week.
So good. And are you taking on more clients for 2026?
We will be opening doors again in February 2026 to our Ending Body Burnout method, which is essentially taking the book and implementing and embodying all the bits and pieces that make up a healthy human being.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom with us and your story and just being so real and vulnerable and open.
Thank you.